Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's a great pleasure to follow my very good, very eminent, right honourable friend from Beckenham. If only I was as good. And as the final backbench speaker this afternoon, I think it's incumbent upon me to be supportive of the government, which of course I am with this excellent bill. We are where we are today for two reasons. I think, first of all, it shows that the government does listen to backbenchers. And also, the bill is actually a pretty good bit of work, and I think it ticks the box, as indeed it should. As defence and national security become ever more virtual and online, it's never been more important, in my view, to secure our lines of communication. And what does that mean? Well, it means both internally, domestically, and also internationally with our allies. And I would urge all of you in this place to consider the notion of strategic independence. We spoke a lot about this during the COVID crisis. It's still there now. And I think as we go forward, that's a really important aspiration that we must have as a country, to be able to operate autonomously on our own as a global nation alongside our allies. So I believe that this bill is important for three reasons. Firstly, it will allow for better security, as I mentioned, both domestically and internationally. And what it does, it kicks out the high-risk vendors from our network. What's not to like? It also placates our allies, and I know for a fact that New Zealand, Australia, the USA, Canada and others were quite noisy with Huawei originally being admitted to our network. So let's hope that it will placate them. Let's hope that it will cement that relationship, and also perhaps even in time admit Japan and other close allies. And the third thing is it opens the door for other 5G providers to come in, which again is a good thing. Hence, I do support the UK's diversification strategy. And having sat on the Bill Committee for this excellent bill, it's a pleasure to see it back here at third reading for ratification. So what does the bill do? Well, we know that it takes forward the government's commitment to the UK telecom supply chain and security review. It introduces a new security framework. It amends the Communications Act of 2003. It brings new security duties. It brings new powers to the Secretary of State. And it strengthens Ofcom's regulatory powers, allowing them to enforce the new framework. So it's all very positive. And it also introduces new national security powers for the government to impose, monitor and enforce. And again, that's a positive step. So I'm pretty happy with the bill as it currently stands. But in the interest of objectivity, I just want to talk, if I may, to a number of the new clauses in the amendments. On new clause 1, the government is aware that the bill gives Ofcom significant new responsibilities, and it will need to increase its resources and skills to meet these new demands. Ofcom's budget is, however, approved by its independent board, and the ministers today confirmed that the budget limits set by the government will be adjusted to allow Ofcom to carry out new functions effectively. So Ofcom is already engaged in this space. We're already proactively looking over the horizon, scanning for future threats. So I'm pretty happy that the government's got it about right. New Clause 2 ensures that the ISC, the Intelligence and Security Committee of Parliament, is provided with information relating to a designated vendor direction. And I'm sympathetic to this, but I do concede that the government knows what it's doing. And as the Ministers also said today, the ISC's primary focus is to oversee the work of the security and intelligence agencies. Its remit is clearly defined in the Justice and Security Act 2013. So this bill is not the appropriate place, in my view, to achieve an overall enhanced role for the ISC. I give way.
I'm very sorry to have to reiterate this point. There are other ways in which our concerns could be addressed, such as by adjusting our memorandum of understanding rather than putting it on the face of the bill. So I'm with him as far as that's concerned, but it is very clearly within our remit that our job is not only to oversee the agencies, but also those parts of other departments where highly classified information is concerned. So I'm afraid that is just a matter of fact. It's in the agreement between us and the Prime Minister.
I empathise with my right honourable friend with that view, and I do agree that he's got a point. I think my position is the same as the government's, in the sense that this particular bill isn't necessarily the vehicle through which we look at the future of how the ISC operates. And as a keen follower of the ISC and your outputs, your work is very eminent, and I think your point is very well made.
I wonder if
Please.
I'm grateful to my friend. Just to cement that point, but also perhaps offer an olive branch to the Minister, if I might be so bold. If the Minister were, when he sums up, to make a firm and binding commitment that he, for example, and others will appear before the ISC at our request to be scrutinised on these and other matters, that might go some way, not the whole way, but some way to assuaging doubts and fears.
Again, thank you to my right honourable friend for the intervention. Again, I empathise with the point, and I will leave this happily with the Minister to make his view known. It is summing up remarks later on. On to new clause 3. This requires Secretary of State to report on the impact of the government's diversification strategy on the security, telecommunications network and services, which of course it will do. So I agree that the government does not need to be dragged back to the dispatch box in law. So again, I am with the government on new clause 3. And I can also see the merits of Amendment 1 in consulting with devolved nations, which of course the government will again do. But national security, as we know, is a reserved matter under the devolution settlements in force. So again, I'm happy the government has got this right. And lastly, for Amendments 2 and 3, the government has every intention of seeking the advice of the UK Security and Intelligence Services, in particular the National Cyber Security Centre. So again, whilst those amendments have merit, I am with the government completely on this. So to conclude, Mr Speaker, my sense is that new clauses and amendments that we've discussed today do have merit, and I note that the Minister has noted them. And again, we discussed these issues at length during the Bill Committee. But it's a good bill. I'll be voting it through this evening. Thank you.